Hello and welcome to today's episode of your GG Replay for Wednesday, August 25th, 2021. GG Replay is a Monday, Wednesday, Friday gaming news podcast where we break down the latest in gaming news. Hosted by us, the Goodnight Groofs, a place for games and a place for goofs. We're still workshopping the slogan, but until then, it's me, it's Paul, and as always, I'm joined by head Groof in charge of it all, Mats. What's going on, my friend? Welcome to our replay that we have every day.
Paul, I'm hype. I'm hype because we just finished our first ever GG Replay live, watching opening night live of Gamescom 2021. For you audio-only listeners, a highlight VOD is going to be posted to YouTube hopefully later tonight. If you want to watch the whole thing, it's on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/goodnightgroofs. That's the whole VOD will stay up there, but the highlight VOD is going to go up on YouTube later tonight, Paul. It was a good time. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Great stream. Good chatting. It was our first stream, and we're a small outfit here, but I still am pretty happy that we had an average of about 10 viewers the whole time. It wasn't just us and our buddies. We did have some people drop in. It was really, really cool. And also something that kind of made it fun is that was it. I'm pretty fried after doing this 3-hour show. It's incredible coming from someone who doesn't who hasn't streamed a lot before. How it'll wear you out to be on stream for so long reacting. But it was so much fun. We've been hyping it on the show all week, and we're really excited. And for those of you out there who are being productive members of society, who might have a job or something to do at 2:00 on a Wednesday, well, you know what? You can catch the VOD. So pretty exciting stuff.
Paul, stay with me here for 30 more minutes. Let's do this replay. Let's make it good.
I'm with you. I'm getting pizza after this, so I'm really excited. I've got pizza and a nap. You really can't do any better. I'm pretty sure Pizza Hut should change their entire marketing based on that. All right. So moving on, staying awake here. I'm drinking alcohol, so that'll really help to keep me awake here. Some Angry Orchard apple cider. Shout out to your wife, her fave.
Yeah.
All right, just a reminder, because this one might be one for the books here for that, if you can come across any necessary corrections in today's episode, if I fumble everything, send them to ggreplayshow@gmail.com or head down to the YouTube comments below so we can address them in the next episode. Super crucial. I mean, obviously, it's our job to fact check ourselves, but it's very helpful if we get stuff wrong. We are not masters of all that is gaming, and you out there, you probably are. So
I like to think that I am, Paul, though. I really do.
You're the Game Boy.
I am the Game Master.
Game Master. I am the GM of this here podcast. And you know what? I banish you to the Shadow Realm. All right.
You can't do
that.
You don't have the authority.
I can do whatever I want, dude. I have a +9 shield against wizard magic.
Oh, shit.
All right, enough of that nerd stuff. Let's talk about video games. First story of the day. A good reminder, really quick, before I got really excited, but a good reminder, Gamescom happened today. In case anyone forgot, it was opening night live, Gamescom. That's why we were streaming. So there's going to be a ton of news. And so first thing, Saints Row Reboot. We're rebooting the franchise. Saints Row is back, baby. GAT is not back, but Saints Row is back.
As far as we know.
So far as we know, we might get some. I think we might get some little teasers or Easter eggs, but nothing crazy.
Yeah.
We get a date coming February 25th, 2022. That's my grandmother's birthday. February 25th, 2022. Not 2022. Birthday. She was not born next year. It was a time loop scenario. Anyway, pretty exciting because I was one to say during the live stream and before I was saying this is probably a 2 years out thing, maybe a 1 year out thing. Pretty incredible to imagine. This is the kind of announcement we want, right? Something that they announced. We didn't even really have whiffs of a reboot until a week ago. When they officially kind of teased it. We didn't really even have rumors about this. And then out it comes, and it's coming out in less than 6 months. That's incredible. Matt, what do you think? We saw a lot here. We saw a younger Saints crowd, it looks like, really pared down back to basics, but still the craziness. What's your take?
Well, first off, the whole show was really good as far as not showing stuff that's super far out, most likely. But yeah, so I'm excited about this. I love the Saints Row franchise. I think we talked about this on the last GG Replay a little bit.
We did.
You know, they announced it with a cinematic trailer and a really short gameplay teaser that sort of jumped around to different things. I normally don't love a cinematic trailer, but I do think it was okay in this scenario, because with Saints Row, you might need to reestablish the tone. Like we talked about, they really jumped the shark with 4, and then Agents of Mayhem, we'll forget about that. But this sort of let us know that they're going a little bit more grounded, it seems. Maybe like almost like a near future setting, like maybe 30, 40, 50 years out, something like that.
Interesting thought process. I kind of would imagine it as like an alternate history version of our current time, just
Could
like
be
a
that.
little bit more
Could be
like
that.
future-y, but still kind of contemporary.
Yeah, it could be that, but something along those lines, but
Yeah.
keeping it a little more grounded. Like we didn't see superhero powers or anything like that.
God, no.
But we did see some, high tech guns and stuff like that. But this, I'm excited about this just because I love Saints Row and I love the more grounded Saints Row.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried that they just don't stick the landing, but who knows? I want to see more gameplay, and I'm guessing maybe we see some more around like Game Awards. By that point, you're only like 2 months out, so hopefully we'll see something along those lines at that point.
I feel like this is that game we're going to see a lot of gameplay of over the next every event that comes up over the next 6 months or so. They're going to be like, here's more gameplay from Saints Row. We're going to be sick of it. We're going to get so much of it, I think.
I'm down with that.
But I'm okay with it. I will say that we did get the tiniest sneak peek of gameplay, and kind of like a very quick gameplay teaser, I'd say easily less than 30 seconds, and it was interspersed with cinematic content. Looked cool. To be honest, from what I saw, it's hard to judge, but from what I saw from that small amount of gameplay, it did look kind of like old school. Like it looked a little Xbox 360-y.
Okay.
Like it didn't look like they changed the way gameplay worked. It still felt kind of less fluid than you might imagine in next gen a little bit.
Okay.
Just from the small amount I saw. That made me nervous that it would kind of play like an older Saints Row game and not play like something kind of rebooted, like reboot the gameplay as well.
Right.
But I mean, that's to be seen. That's a super early hot take I'm putting out here, but I'm a little nervous. But overall, I agree with you. The cinematic trailer was perfect for this game because we really need to establish tone. What kind of Saints Row game is this going to be? Because there's so many different ways to do Saints Row at this point.
Right.
And I think this is the right take to have. I saw some people saying that like, oh, it looks kind of like teenagers on a road trip, Saints Row. I didn't really necessarily get that vibe. Everyone said they look like kids. I didn't feel like they looked like kids. I feel like they looked younger. I think they were more faithfully correct to like what 20-somethings are like than like what maybe the original Saints Row was like in, 20, like, well, not 20, but like 10, 15 years ago. Felt a little less realistic to what people would be like in their 20s.
I mean,
it felt pretty contemporary. It felt like a product of the time.
It's a game about gangs. Like you don't have people like doing this sort of stuff in their 30s and 40s. So you're going to see a younger crowd.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to point out, while they were talking about the game and what we saw from the trailers, it looked like you weren't going to be creating a character this time. I'm glad on the website they dispelled that. They said they do talk about creating your own character on the website and talking about it being like the best customization so far that they've had. Of course they'll say that, but Saints Row has always had really good character customization. So I am excited about that again. I just want a good Saints Row game, Paul. I really do. That's all I want.
I think the building blocks are there. I'm really, really excited. And you know what? Worst case scenario, we're going to find out in 6 months or so exactly what kind of Saints Row game we're getting. In fact, exactly 6 months. It's August 25th. It will be February 25th. So.
Oh wow, yeah.
So pretty cool. We have a timeline, and hopefully they stick to it. And if so, then we will find out exactly what kind of Saints Row game we're getting. But I think it is cool to see new blood in the franchise, and it is exciting to have it be coming so soon. Speaking of something that might be new blood in the franchise, but feels a little bit old in a lot of ways, Halo Infinite. We finally got a release date for, keep in mind, the multiplayer and the single player, not co-op though, just single player, December 8th, 2021. Now this did leak a little bit in the Microsoft Store this morning before Gamescom, but it was officially announced at Gamescom. Unfortunately, dispelling Matt's long held prediction that multiplayer will come out before the campaign.
I still think it's possible. They can still delay the campaign.
They're not. It's still coming out at the same time. They have stuck with this thing where they're putting co-op campaign in season 2, which is an interesting choice to make. So we did see a multiplayer cinematic trailer. It was very cool. I really, 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 really wish that this was the campaign for the game. It had, as Josh was saying in our chat, and some other people, real Noble Six vibes, real Halo Reach vibes. It's so cool to see a ragtag group or people kind of training to be Spartans and move away from John 117, the perfect killing machine, extra magic Deus Ex Machina Spartan. And again, move away from Cortana going rampant for the 5th time in a row. It's kind of cool to see that. We had this great story trailer where you see someone get saved by Spartans, and that inspires them to become a Spartan. Like, not spoilers, it's a multiplayer trailer, but check it out. It's very cool, very impactful, and it made me really excited and believing that, like Mike said, this is going to be the last campaign we're going to get in a Halo game. This really showed that I think they're capable and ready to start doing a la Fortnite, the story progressing in seasons and multiplayer, and I am here for it.
Yeah. Did you mention the release date, December 8th?
I did.
Okay. Yeah, this is smart. Putting story into the multiplayer, I think, is very smart because, like Mike is thinking that this, could be the last campaign. You're setting yourself up for a situation where multiplayer can continue to exist going forward with the story, and the story is the thing pushing it forward. Story might be something that brings people in or brings people back. So I think that's definitely really smart. Well, I still think they should be pretty much separate games. I still think they need to release the multiplayer sooner. And
I agree with you. I
push
want
campaign
that to
back.
So I want them to do that, but I don't think they are.
You shouldn't. Please don't release the campaign without co-op. Don't do it.
I know. I think it just goes to show the campaign is an afterthought at this point. It's something they hobbled together. They've never been confident making a Master Chief campaign, 343. I mean, so I feel like at this point it's kind of like, hey, we're going to release it because we've been working on it, and then the co-op will come later as like a little added bonus. I feel like, I don't know. I really feel like it's kind of lagging along here, and the real dream here with Infinite is that they can finally stop having to write John's story. I don't blame them because they're not great at it.
I think there's even a possibility that the campaign just gets canceled for this game. I think that's a possibility.
Ridiculous. It's time. It's happened. It's too late. They've worked for like years and years on it. There's no way they'll cancel
possible. Put out the multiplayer, see how successful it is, and move on.
You're trying to inflame me, I tell you. Anyway, it looked cool. It was cool to see the trailer. It was cool to see some stuff. I'm really excited for the multiplayer in this game.
Yeah, totally.
Royale mode and everything else. I'm going to play the absolute F out of this game. I'm going to play it like crazy. This might replace my Fortnite addiction right now. I love that. So cool to have this free to play multiplayer Halo with seasons. Very excited.
Speaking of Battle Royale, please have a BR mode. Do it.
Well, didn't they confirm there's probably
there's been leaks. There's been leaks.
The leaks.
Yeah, it was the audio leak.
It goes Battle Royale. Yeah.
Do it. Everyone wants it. Everyone wants Battle Royale in your Halo game. Just do it.
Yeah, sure, why not? Like, no one needs it to be the main. I think there's a lot of people who don't want it to be the main thing, but I don't think there's anyone saying don't put it in there, except like people who hate fun. All right. Moving on, talking about Horizon. No, not Forza Horizon, as Matt thought I was talking about earlier. No, we're talking about Horizon Forbidden West. We finally have a release date. We did initially think months ago that it was going to be a holiday this holiday game. It's not. It's going to be early 2022, and the date is February 18th. 1 week exactly before what was the game we were talking about earlier? Saints Row comes out. There's so many games. We talked about this earlier. 2022 is just I think it's going to be one of those famous years for games where everything's going to explode, because we've had 2020 and 2021 delays. A lot of games that were going to come out in 2020 got delayed to 2021. And then a lot of people are saying, you know what? No one's going to hate me. No one's going to flame me if I just put it off to early 2022. That's kind of been the vibe. And after seeing what happened with Cyberpunk and some other games, I think a lot of people are comfortable moving it to 2022. And it's going to blow up. So Horizon Forbidden West joining us on the early 2022 being an insane year. Just the early 2022 is an insane year. Forget the rest of it. That's like a different year.
Yeah.
We already have a performance patch too for Horizon Zero Dawn, the original, targeting 60 FPS on the PS5 live right now, which is awesome. We're seeing more and more of these, and I really, really appreciate every developer who just puts these out free, like shadow drops them and makes them and just adds them in. Really, really cool. Anyone who's trying to like definitive edition the upgrades is kind of a jerk. We haven't seen too many of these, but they are out there.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey got this, I think, last week.
Yeah,
or a couple days ago.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah,
You're excited, Matt, right? I mean, this is Horizon. You've
yeah. I
been
mean,
hyped for
I'm
this,
very
yeah.
excited about this game. I liked the first one. I probably don't hold it up in as high of regard as a lot of people, just
I
because
remember when you first played it, you were very hyped, but that died down.
a little bit, yeah. There are elements of the story that didn't really work for me, elements of the gameplay that didn't really work for me, but overall, really good. Obviously, a great new entry as a new IP. So yeah, I think the sequel is going to be fantastic. We had heard reports about a delay to 2022 a little while ago, and this was the first time that well, delay, quote unquote. This was because it never had a release date. This is the first time that they came out and they were like, yeah, so it's been difficult with COVID and all that. And we all kind of assumed this. And so they're like, we're here to tell you finally we have a release date. It's February 18th, 2022. So I'm excited. 6 months away, not too far off. Where does this put God of War now? I don't know. I think God of War maybe summer, maybe May. Although, I don't know. I'm thinking God of War may be pushed back even further.
It's a holiday. I think we're getting 2022 for God of War, but I think it's going to be, it could run the gamut of how long it's going to be during the year. I think God of War really fits a fall release, just the feel of it, and I would be really happy about that too, like a September or late August.
I'd be down with that. But I think this is, I think the first Horizon came out in March. It might have also been a February release, but I think it was March. It was around the same time as Breath of the Wild, I think. Just seems like it's a good time that'll work out for it, So I'm excited.
Very cool. And if you do not have a PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4, well, you know what? You can always play some games on Xbox. But what if you don't have an Xbox? Well, no, you have to for this one thing. Xbox Cloud Gaming is coming to Xbox Series X and S and Xbox One. The question kind of becomes why? There are some benefits though. So there's interesting points to this. So I mean, your first thought might be, well, why? I already have the console, I'm playing it. But the benefit of this is it comes with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So not only can you, of course, play xCloud on your phone and on PC now, which is really cool, but you can also play it on your console. So this is really cool if you want to try a game out, but you don't want to commit to downloading a 100 GB file or something. Right. You can stream the beginning of the game, feel it out, especially if it's on Game Pass, of course. You can stream it, and then if you love it, you can keep streaming it, of course, or you can just go ahead and download the whole thing and not have to deal with any sort of stream lag. So pretty cool. There's been a lot of games where I've wanted to, especially with Game Pass, there's a ton of games on there that obviously there's some shovelware, but there's some cool indies that I want to try. And even if they're only a few gigs, I'm just like, well, I really open it up. But if I could just like click play now and start streaming it, I'd be there. Now, I will say the one thing that this makes me think of is PS Now. PS Now launched as a streaming thing and then became a downloading thing. This is almost the reverse of that, where they started completely download-based, and now they're adding this ability to stream. Now, of course, they've had streaming for a while, but this idea of streaming Game Pass on a console really feels like PS Now. And it makes me kind of go, okay, cool, so what? It's not much of a feature.
Yeah, I think this benefits people who have the Xbox Series S and the Xbox One more so than the X, because you're getting the same, I assume you're getting sort of the same visuals as the Xbox Series X because you're streaming.
So they're running on Series X. Yeah, the Game Pass is running on Series X. I will say though, I wouldn't take it. The latency is, I mean, I'm sure even if you have great fiber internet, latency is, I mean, it's probably fine. I've experimented with xCloud a little bit, and I by no means is it bad. It's very, very, very good, but I would always rather just play my game on console than try to stream it on Series X for the graphics. That would not be a worthwhile use case for me, I feel like.
Right, but I guess but if you're trying
I think the trying thing is really the main thing. Like being able to try a game seems like the main thing that I can see being a use case.
Yeah, I can see like going forward when games do get a little bit more visually advanced throughout this generation, and if you're still on an Xbox One,
yes,
you're still getting the benefit of that graphical upgrade while playing on older hardware, right? So
yeah,
I think eventually it'll be better value than it is right now. But
that's the thing with a lot of this Xbox stuff, right? It's all kind of preparing for the future. There's a lot of great building blocks here, and I do truly believe, unlike with PS Now and things like that, where Sony kind of put it out and wasn't really, isn't really developing it in probably the way they should or marketing it in the way they should. I think that Microsoft is clearly putting these out with the intention that these are going to become the future building blocks of Xbox. But for now, it's mostly betaware a little bit.
Yeah, but coming holiday 2021. So
holiday 2021.
Soon.
Thanks for highlighting that. I forgot that part, but yeah, it is coming holiday 2021. It's coming very soon. So, if you're playing on an Xbox One and you want to experience Halo Infinite in beautiful Series X fidelity, but with latency, then here you go. We'll see how that works. Is yet to be seen. Moving on, talking about EA, we like to rag on EA a lot as gamers, but I will say EA will be making 5 of their accessibility patents free for any developers to use. This was kind of big news yesterday, coming ahead of a lot of the big Gamescom news, and I'm kind of glad it got its day because it's really cool to talk about accessibility, and they talked about it a lot at Gamescom today, actually. Yeah. So the specific patents that they're making free are, first off, a ping system that allows players to transmit contextually aware audio and visual communications generated via mappable controller inputs. Now, it's really, really cool, actually. Yeah. That's a very neat one. Image processing that improves visibility of colors to optimize for color vision deficiencies. That's 2 patents. Automatically detecting contrast ratios in pixel regions of rendered frames and updating regions having subpar contrast ratios to meet contrast ratio standards or thresholds. So again, for the visually impaired, it helps kind of with contrast. I think that's very useful, actually, even for a lot of people in general. And generating personalized music based on users' hearing information and stylistic preference to best comfort with that user's hearing issues, which is pretty cool because a lot of people don't have full hearing loss, but still have a hearing impairment. And it's cool to be able to somehow tie that together. So really, really cool to see that from EA. So good guy EA coming up with some patents and making them free for the gaming community at large to use. It's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, I will say, I use some of the accessibility stuff that's been put in games lately just because it makes the experience better, even for myself. So, for example, larger text. I'll make text larger because subtitles are often so small.
Inventory management and stuff in games sometimes can be so hard to read depending on the game. Yeah.
Right.
Witcher 3, I'm looking at you.
QuickTime events. I hate tapping, so I change it to holding the button. This sort of stuff is so awesome, and it's good for everybody. Everyone benefits from this. So yeah, this is awesome. I love that we're seeing more of this stuff in games, and yeah, good guy EA for throwing these patents out there for everyone to use. Awesome stuff.
Yeah, great PR for them and great accessibility for everyone else. So really good on all accounts. Moving on, talking about another publisher that, sometimes dog on, but pretty cool, interesting game franchise. New IP in a sports franchise. And this is cool. Ubisoft is starting a new soccer franchise called UFL. It will be free to play, and it looks like it's based on kind of she wrote glocal, like that.
Oh, sorry,
bastard,
I mean
like that bastard John Wolfe. Looks like it's based on a made-up global football league. And won't be using any official licenses like FIFA. I think it's just so cool. I like the idea of not using licenses because I think it lets you use the budget for a few different things and kind of mess around and make gameplay key. And we already have games that use licenses so much as well already. Also kind of reminds me of Pro Evolution Soccer. I forget what they've changed the name of that to now, but that
I don't remember either.
I forget they changed something
football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's eFootball, right? Yeah. eFootball, that is now going free to play as well. So interesting to see that. It's interesting to see them put in. Sorry if I said it's interesting to see yet because I've said that quite a lot today. It is kind of interesting though because we see a lot of sports game genres sort of thing, baseball, some other ones where there's kind of a dismal lack of games and lack of innovation in the games. And then we see something like football now, like soccer, or what we want to say European football is interesting to see because there's so much competition and so much success. FIFA is great. Pro Evolution Soccer is great. It's interesting to see them put in something totally different, another franchise in that sport, because I think there's a lot of sports that are hurting for games. But obviously, maybe there's a reason. There's a reason the sports are hurting for games. Football is like the global sport. It is such a massive, massive global franchise that, maybe it's just worth it to put another game out for that.
Yeah, this is interesting. So they're going to have to do something different because historically, sports games that lack licenses don't do well. They might last for a few.
Hey, what about Backyard Baseball, my friend? That was a great game.
Funny enough, they had licenses in those games.
Did they really?
They did, yeah. So at least in the later ones, I think they had some licenses.
Yeah.
they're just gonna have to change the game a little bit. I don't know what they can do differently, but it could be fun to play in these online fake leagues with made up players that are made up of different actual people playing online. I don't know. It could be kind of cool, but historically, unlicensed sports games just don't do well. They might last for a little while and then go away. I know 2K did one with American football when they didn't have the license for that, and it just came and went. And like no one ever even knew it was here.
See, I've never heard of it yet. This appeals a bit to me as someone who enjoys playing sports games but doesn't really care for all of the tie-ins with like real world sports because I just don't follow them, so I don't really understand enough of some of the tie-ins, and I feel like, oh, should I care? Is this player someone I should know? Like, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Whereas this is kind of cool because it doesn't make me feel, I know it sounds silly, but it doesn't make me feel like dumb, or like, it doesn't make me feel like I'm not in the zeitgeist. I can just kind of play the game and make up characters and enjoy myself and not feel like, oh, this isn't for me, because I don't know who anyone is. Which is, so maybe that's something, I don't know. But will I actually play it? Maybe. I think I'll give it a try. It's free to play, and I really enjoyed playing FIFA, which I haven't done in many years. So I might give it a go.
The gameplay has got to be really good. If the gameplay is really good, you'll get people playing it just because it's playing a cool soccer game. But obviously, the licenses are a huge part of why people play FIFA with the Ultimate Team and association modes and stuff like that. So you have to make it so it's just really fun multiplayer online soccer.
One last thing before we move on to the last story of the day. What do you think of the term fair to play that they were using a lot? They said free to play and they immediately changed it to fair to play and made a big point of mentioning fair to play being something, which I thought was kind of an interesting. Is that a jokey thing? Is that a football thing? I don't think so. I think it was meant to be like an industry shakeup term or something, which I thought was very interesting to say in the middle of Gamescom like that.
I feel like, I don't know exactly what it means, but my initial guess is that it means this is a free-to-play game that is not pay to win. That it's fair to play because it'll be a level playing field. Now you'll be able to buy things. You'll be able to buy cosmetic stuff, but not necessarily things that'll make you more likely to win. That's what I'm guessing fair to play means, but I don't really know.
It's an interesting question. It'd be something to talk about on Game Groofs or something maybe, but it's interesting to consider what is fair to play. What does that mean to you? Because that's interesting. They brought that up and I was just like, whoa. Like they kind of threw that out of nowhere, and they said it a couple times, and they kind of like, they didn't just say it. They didn't say, oh, it's a fair to play game. They said it's a free to play game, and then they were like, cross that out. It's fair to play, and I was like, that is a statement, and from Ubisoft too. So kind of interesting to see that come out there. Felt like a dig a little bit, or like a shift in the industry. So something interesting to consider, I guess. Before we move on to the last story of the day, I just want to remind everyone who's out there listening right now on any sort of podcast app. First off, we appreciate you. Second off, if you can take a moment out of your busy day just to give us a 5-star review or a thumbs up or whatever star you think we deserve, but ideally 5 because we're amazing, and maybe leave us a review or anything like that. We really, really appreciate it because it does help us to move forward and create better content and get more of you listening in the algorithm. So if you want to just like pull your car off to the side of the road right now, try to avoid the guardrails, and just give us a quick 5-star, maybe ask Siri or something to do it. That would be really appreciative. Also, good thing I didn't say all of the names of the different audio assistants, because then we would start turning people's machines on and against them. All right, moving on. Final story of the day. We got Marvel. We got Marvel out here. Now, first off, just a quick little mention. We did have a Marvel 3D open world action RPG come out today on mobile, on iOS and Android, which is pretty crazy. Marvel Future Revolution. I've yet to play it, but I will be trying it out later tonight. We'll talk about more on Game Groofs probably tomorrow, because I probably will bring up a little bit of it. Pretty interesting that they're doing that on mobile. I've heard a lot of people comparing it to Genshin Impact. We have yet to see. But they also, in the midst of that, announced a new game today. Now, this has been rumored. It's an XCOM-style game from Firaxis and 2K. Marvel's Midnight Suns. Now, this is kind of based on, there is like a Midnight Suns comic in the 90s, sort of, SONS. This is SUNS. So, it's kind of like a weird ragtag team. But yeah, we're seeing the likes of Wolverine. We're seeing Nico from The Runaways, which is really cool. Like summoning a monster, Lilith, which is like really, really cool. I think you're kind of creating your own character too, or like designing them. And there's Ghost Rider. It looks really, really wild. It reminds me a lot of how how stylistic and interesting you can get with the Marvel universe,
Yeah.
and how little Crystal Dynamics bothered to do such a thing, and how maybe even just stylizing it a little bit more, we may not even have cared as much about the terrible live game aspects. Matt, what did you think? I know you're not a huge Marvel guy, and you're definitely not also an XCOM guy, but I feel like we all kind of were looking at this and going like, this looks pretty bomb, like if you're into either of these things.
Yeah, it's funny. This is like two things that are just really not up my alley. I really like Spider-Man and I really like X-Men, but other than that, I'm really not into Marvel stuff. But, it was a really cool trailer. I'm really not going to be playing this game. Mike will definitely be playing this game. He is super pumped about this. So I really look forward to hearing what he thinks about it when.
Hey, I'm going to play this game too. Fall off. I might fall off because XCOM. I'm not crazy about it, but I will try because I love Marvel so much, and this looks such a cool story.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to hear about it. I'm excited about that, and if you guys both have awesome praise for it, maybe I'll get a shot. Maybe it'll be on Game Pass for PC, Paul.
That would be a great dream. We love to see it. It is going to be on, I think, most major consoles. So pretty excited. It's cool to see, and it's cool to see Firaxis continuing to develop weird stuff. It's really interesting. So
that Marvel license is really just getting tossed out to everyone now.
Yeah, Marvel's. I saw someone say this, and someone was, I saw people online going like, "Oh, Marvel keeps half-assing all these games that could be really good games." But it's strange because it's not necessarily always the case. Like the Spider-Man PS4 games and Miles Morales are like masterpiece, incredible games.
Right.
And there are other. I mean, I'm sure I'm blanking right now, but there are tons of interesting Marvel games out there over the years. Most of them Spider-Man games, but there are interesting solo hero games. But then, yeah, they are. Every time there's like an Avengers big team up, like really just go crazy with the license. I feel like a lot of developers kind of half-ass it, and I'm not sure whose fault that is.
It's funny. I really think that most of the Marvel games using that license are actually good games. They're not always in genres that I care about, but for the most part, they all seem like good games, except for
look at Ultimate Alliance or something, right? Like Ultimate Alliance was like again, not a genre I played a lot, but is like clearly an extremely loved franchise. There's a ton of stuff. There's a ton of stuff. But yeah, obviously Crystal Dynamics excluded. That was kind of a bit of a fail. There's some great Marvel mobile games too. I mean, they're all gacha games, but still, there's a lot of cool things you can do with the IP. I just love to see. It's kind of like the Pokemon dilemma, right? I just want to see them just like make some kind of big AAA amazing Marvel game that like uses more than just Spider-Man. It uses multiple characters, has Avengers, whatever. That isn't that Crystal Dynamics game, because that's clearly like a AA weird games as a service thing. And I feel like it's the same thing with Pokemon. We're just kind of waiting for them to make that like that perfect magic, like Doke V, something that looks like that, right? In Pokemon would be incredible, but we're just gonna kind of keep getting good enough.
I would love an X-Men game that sort of gets the Spider-Man PS4 and PS5 treatment. Another thing I wanted to mention, another Marvel game, Second Dinner, the developer, which is a bunch of Hearthstone veterans, they're making a Marvel card game. At least that's been in the works for a long time, so I don't know if it still exists, but yeah, so that's another thing. Another developer who has the license.
There's a lot. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I think there's a lot out there. It's cool to see X-Men kind of come back in. There was a long period of time where X-Men were kind of a no-go because of the Fox movie acquisition. Marvel was actually like writing them out of the comics a lot, and also trying to kind of make the Inhumans the new X-Men. They were basically trying to like cater everything in Marvel around whatever they had movie rights to.
Right.
And now that we have those rights back, Disney finally has their stranglehold on most of Marvel. It's cool that we can get the X-Men back in different things again, because it's very, very cool to see Storm and Wolverine and all these other characters. And we have a very cool version of Wolverine in Midnight Suns, which is very cool, very awesome to see. It's a little weird to see an armored version of Wolverine since he has the healing factor, but also at the same time, just because you can heal doesn't mean you want to get hurt. Yeah, ideally, you don't want to get hurt, unless you're a Saiyan and you want your Zenkai boot. All right. So that is going to be it for today's GG Replay. But before you go, just a little bit reminder, if you want to check out that VOD we mentioned, or our Twitch stream or anything like that, we are going to be doing more streaming on Twitch. We actually have our website, goodnightgroofs.com, where you can check out the links to all of our socials and our blogs and our podcasts and our videos. and our live streams. All of that is on our website, and it's very, very cool to check there and, kind of just see everything in there. It reminds me of when I was younger, and I used to like, instead of going to like Reddit and stuff, I just had like certain websites in my ribbon bar at the top of my browser.
Yeah.
And I used to have like roosterteeth.com, and I'd like go there every day, like constantly, just to like see what the new comics were and see if there was like a new Red versus Blue out or something.
Yeah.
Just put Goodnight Groofs in your ribbon bar. There's always good.
Put it up there on the bookmark bar.
There's always good stuff there. I'm not even telling you because this is a metric. We can't track this. It's just a fun place to put. Remember the old internet? Those of you who are alive, good times. And also, if you're feeling super generous, we do have a Patreon over at patreon.com/goodnightgroofs. I just had an out-of-body experience a second ago. I was like, Jesus. Oh, who's that talking? Who's that talking? Handsome man on the screen.
All right, let's get this over with.
Too much streaming. Patreon.com/goodnightgroofs. We have a $1, $3, and $5 tier. And $3 tier will get you early access to Game Groofs, our all-encompassing gaming podcast. Normally it comes out on Sunday, but you could be listening to it on Friday. So we're going to record it tomorrow. You could be listening to it the day after. Those are some really hot takes. They are fresh out the oven, I tell you. All right, that is mainly it here for GG Replay. We've exhausted it. We will be back on Friday. I don't know if we'll have Matt. We might have me and Mike, it seems like, or something else. So stay tuned. It might be a little bit different, but I think it's going to be an exciting show. Maybe I'll have to curate the soda facts, or we'll have to get a different fact.
Yeah. Don't forget,
for Mike.
Though, you gotta have.
You might have to get. Maybe he'll have a different kind of fact. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. But until then, this has been it for Wednesday, August 25th, 2021. For your GG Replay. Matt, do you have anything else to say before we get out of here?
I'm just off to get the Third Street Saints back together again.
Aren't we all? Only 6 more months, I tell you. Good night, Groofs.